Michael, you want to expand on what Christine just said?
Christine addressing the issues for employment with people with special needs. Employment is a huge barrier for myself and about 85% of others with either one disability or two disabilities. Statistically, according to the last census and other national data that's been collected by the American Academy of Cerebral Palsy and Developmental Medicine, 70% of people with disabilities are either unemployed or underemployed. And that's only if you have one disability. A person like myself with a dual disability, being physically and sensory, 84 to 85% of us, depending upon where you read and where you do your research, are unemployed. I, at 39, am still living with my parents, despite the fact that I've had all the support and have been upwardly educated and received earned two college degrees, master's from Adelphi with honors and a baccalaureate degree in psychology and speech communications from Hofstra University with honors. My passion is making my lives better and making the lives of people with special needs better, enhancing our quality of lives, and just making connections that way. So I've decided to embark on a journey writing curriculum with Hofstra to enhance the communicative experiences for people with special needs who need to receive health care. And there's a whole gamut of services and types of disabilities that I address within that curriculum, but it all is intended to address and does address the stereotypes and stigma associated with communicating with people with quote-unquote special needs of all types. My biggest pet peeve is when somebody communicates with the person accompanying me instead of with me. Along those lines, I was at a speaking engagement on Thursday where all the people on the panel were individuals who live with retinal degenerative disease, like ushers, retinitis pigmentosa, or LCA. And we were all able to learn from each other as far as how to communicate better interpersonally with each other. It was my first exposure to prolonged communication with somebody with Usher syndrome. Usher syndrome is a genetic disease that attacks hearing and also has a form of retinitis pigmentosa in conjunction with it. And the progression of both diseases is usually simultaneous. One may be slower than the other, depending upon where the genetic mutation is and so on and so forth. But learning from each other was just so empowering, and seeing other people with disabilities who are authors, who do have passions, who are gainfully employed, just empowered me to no end. And it was really, really inspiring to see. And every success story makes Christine's job easier. Every success story makes my pursuit of employment easier. And it's just so inspiring and empowering. So thanks to all the special education teachers out there. Thanks to everybody who works with people with special needs. And thanks, Howie, for having this show.
You know, Michael touched on something earlier, and it happens to be one of the lead stories in this week's Long Beach Herald. It says, state lawmakers back pay raises for direct caregivers.
Yep.
State assemblies support funding for workers caring for those with developmental disabilities. And basically, Harvey Wiesenberg is behind this, former assemblyman, saying that the state caregivers are woefully underpaid. Christine, you want to talk about that?
Sure. Yes, definitely. You know, as the minimum wage increased in New York State to $15 an hour, most of our staff did remain with us because, you know, as you had mentioned, people in this field are in this field because that's where their hearts are. We're not multimillionaires, and the job doesn't pay $100 an hour. And sometimes it's very, very, you know, very cumbersome work that you know, our direct staff is doing. We have group homes where we have 24-hour staff. We have people who are awake at night, but they're there because they love working with people, and they love working with people with disabilities. They get people with disabilities, and we thank God for them, we really do. But the pay for direct care providers is definitely underrated, to say the least.
Yeah, Michael, you want to touch on that?
I can definitely piggyback on it. As a recipient of services from direct care providers, in my case, personal care attendants, who receive $11 an hour when minimum wage in New York State is now 15, and often do things for me that allow me to live the quality of life that I do with their assistance. I think that the work that they do is grossly underappreciated and grossly underfinanced. So I would like to see their wages go back up to at least minimum wage. I know that I've been receiving services since I was 19 years old, so that's basically about the last 20 years. And in those 20 years, instead of the wages of my PCAs or the people who allow me to live my life to its fullest going up, they've gone down from $16.41 as recently as 3 years ago to 13, and then down to 12, and then down to 11. So without them, I couldn't live the quality of life that I do without placing burden on my family members. And they kind of ease that burden. The way I communicate with my PCAs is changing. The way they have to help me communicate with the outside world is changing because as my vision loss progresses. But as long as you keep open lines of communication and treat each other with dignity, we can definitely make something work here.
Let's hope the state lawmakers can make a difference and get those wages up where they belong. Finally, Michael, I once read that people with impairment, their senses with others, like their hearing, is better than the average person. So listening to Maureen Griffin, I'm sure you appreciated her amazing talent.
Absolutely. The power of song has within it therapeutic abilities. Song can heal us. Song can pump us up for the day. It can set a mood. It can ease tension. It can relax. Songs allow us to tell stories creatively, and I congratulate Maureen on all of her success. And writing is something that I like to do. Attempting to be published in several scholarly journals as I endeavor to pursue the professorship at Hofstra, and it has opened tremendous doors for me. The ability to tell a story or share the stories of individuals with special needs from a perspective of ability and strength rather than deficit and disability or perceived disability or limitation is something that we should all aspire to do. So whether it's on a YouTube channel or the 2 radio stations that Maureen mentioned, the power of song and the power of creative expression is something that we all benefit from. I mean, I know myself that most people have coffee in the morning, but I know that my coffee is my iPod or the music channels on TV. So, and Maureen was right on key, by the way, so you don't have to worry about any of that. And they do say, as one sense goes, the other one takes over. So my hearing is very keen, and I wouldn't lie to you about that. So, congratulations.
One thing about doing this show is that sometimes you do an interview, you can read someone's face, and even though they're not talking, you can see what they're feeling. And I could see that Maureen was very, very touched when Michael was speaking. So Maureen, I want to bring you up and ask you to talk about how Michael's words inspired you, because I know they did just by watching your expression.
Well, Michael and I just met tonight, and he's just an amazing young man because we're all given different challenges in life, and some people, it seems, are given just an amazing amount of challenges to overcome, and it's so inspiring when I hear you speak about, you know, going to school and your studies and all your dreams and pursuits, and it's just very inspiring to all of us, and I'd like to thank you very much.
Thank you.
And what you said was very kind. I sang on key. That's wonderful. Thank you. It was so sweet.
And Maureen, is it safe to say that you write your own music, all originals?
Yes, most. Very rarely do I borrow another one, like I said, with Thank God I'm a Biker Girl, but
All right.
most of it's mine.
All right, now, do you like challenges in life?
Yeah, okay, yes.
How about I'm going to give you a challenge.
Okay.
Are you ready?
I hope so.
How about writing a song, calling it A Man Named Michael, about
Ooh.
this young man? What do you think of that idea?
Oh, that is a really good idea. I like that. So Michael and I will have to sit and talk a little bit more.
Michael, what do you think about that idea? Maureen writing a song about you, calling it A Man Named Michael. What do you think?
I think that's a challenge that it's hard to find a man in a 3 to 4 minute song, so we'll see what we can do about that.
Okay.
I think you two, with your two's passion, with you guys speaking, I think you can make it very special.
We could, and I'm sure we will.
I agree. And we're going to keep it a really positive song, one that's uplifting.
All right. Guys, what do you think about that song Maureen's going to write called A Man Named Michael? All right. All right, this is a really riveting segment. I want to thank Christine Austin from the School for Language Communication Development. I want to thank Michael Calber and Maureen for chiming in at the end. And one more time, Christine, let's give the date and the time of your big fundraiser.
Sure. April 20th, around 6:30 at Leonard's of Great Neck.
Awesome. Wow, great segment.